Hi guys, this is Wenzes from Below the Radar Above the System. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I want to talk about boundaries and I want to revisit this topic. If you're interested in older videos on boundaries, just type in Wenzes and then boundaries and you'll find a lot of videos I did maybe 2-3 years ago, really in the beginning, and those videos made a huge impact on me or the topic I was discussing in those videos, and there was also a lot of good feedback. But now there's a bunch of stuff I've learned using all those things that I talked about in this video and I want to get into it now. So stay tuned. So hi guys, just as I mentioned, boundaries is the topic of today's videos, and pretty much boundaries revisited and misconceptions when it comes to setting boundaries, creating boundaries, and how we actually grow within all of this process. Because I think one of the main things that has been a misconception for a lot of us is this notion of once we set correct boundaries, then we're not gonna feel hurt, we're not gonna get in situations where people cross our boundaries, as pretty much of I'm going out there and I'm just gonna express myself in such a way that it will just keep people invading my space naturally without me actually consciously having to do something for it. And in a lot of ways that works, but we still will get in certain situations because as people who want to grow, you naturally put yourself in situations where your boundaries will get tested. And once they get tested, then we freak out and think like, oh my God, I'm out of control, I need to leave. These things have happened to me and in various situations. And I got home and I thought to myself, well, apparently I'm not over all those things that cause me to get anxious in certain situations, because I still felt this need to withdraw, to leave, to just get out of the situation. But the longer I thought about it, the more I realized that actually that's not what's supposed to change. I'm still a sensitive person in certain areas, and all those sensitivities make us not only the way we are and we all unique, blah, 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 but it's also one of the keys to our success, to our power, to all our strengths, because sensitivity is not about being weak. Sensitivity is about being precise, what we absorb, what we feel, and the better you are at perceiving energy from other people around you, the better you are to create a connection with people you have in everyday situations, people from work, your clients, friends, family, and so on. And one of my biggest strengths is that there are a lot of people I can get a really good connection with right on from the get-go, because I sense like this is their energy, this is where they're coming from, and I can adapt myself and really get into a situation with that person where we both feel comfortable in our skin, because I allow so much of their energy to shine through, and they see that the other person, in this case me, recognizes who they are, because fundamentally it's all a matter of energy and how you feel perceived. It's very seldom so that you think, oh well, this person understands me because I talk to them about my understanding of politics, religion, and the school system, and they have the same values. This is not what we feel when we say people get us. We feel that when we just get into a situation and we feel they reciprocate our energy, we feel that they understand where we're coming from, what is important to us, and they get that by you connecting with them on a certain level. So this sensitivity, I want to point that out again, is a strength, and it's one of those things that give me like all those things I need in life to. Hi guys, this is Wenzes from Below. I just realized, well, it's not the point that my boundaries got crossed. It's the way that I didn't completely like get off the rails and said, well, this is just too much for me, I want to go. I panic and leave. Because this is what I mostly have done. I'm panicked, I left, or I just let people cross my boundaries to such an extent that I just didn't know that anything else was possible. Like before I started those videos, my boundaries were at a different place. Like a lot of people invaded my space. I didn't really see it as anything negative. It's what I was used to. I was used to kind of like regulate other people's anxiety, and I did that by absorbing so much that on the one hand I took on so much pain on it, but on the other hand I wasn't responsible to creating emotional atmospheres for me, because all those people that invaded my space were giving that to me. So I had a great connection with somebody who gave me a lot of drama and excitement in my life, somebody else who gave me structure, but it all comes to at a cost. So every time you like say, now I really stop and I want my boundaries to be further away, you have to fill that space. And you can watch this in videos where I talk about how you can fill up that void and so on, but this is something that comes at a price. You have to understand the moment you decide I'm gonna drop out, like really widen my boundaries, you need to fill them up first. That does not mean that your boundaries will not get tested. They will, but now it's at a much broader space, it's at a much broader atmosphere. You're willing and able to take on new challenges. Like I said, once I decided for myself I will go that way because it was so painful for me. And just a side note, all of this of course now makes sense looking backwards, saying where you say you can only connect the dots looking backwards, never forwards. Like I never knew those things. Maybe if I would have watched a video like this it would have helped me, but I sure as hell didn't. And now looking back at it, you know, out of pain I said I'm gonna create boundaries where I need to like push everybody out because this is just too much. It's too like I got into this small ball and everything was just like coming down on, like just falling on top of me, and I just completely checked out of reality. And once I decided to make that switch, I needed to fill up that void. As I said, you can check out also some videos on that, but now you get into just like more exciting situations. Like the job I decided to take, I wouldn't have been able to take on if I was in my other role and how I was before, because there's so much things happening which can invade your boundaries and where you need to like let people know who you are so they respect that. And back then I would have just stayed in my little bubble and everything would have just come down on me and there was no way I could have survived that. So now I knew I was able, I did that. And it, like the other thing is, as I said, we think like boundaries just happen by us just being there and it just happens naturally just by us walking around. But that's not true. What actually happens is we verbalize when people cross our boundaries. This is another thing. We recreate boundaries at another place further away from us, and we say we only let people more and more in who really respect everything about us, and not in a way of who doesn't respect our boundaries is a bad person, because we all have different things that are sensitive to us, that are special to us, and people cannot know that unless we verbalize it. So the first thing is you set new boundaries. You recognize that you need to verbalize when somebody's crossing that boundary, which is sometimes even faster to cross. You have other things and you expect people to respect you on that area. And I've talked about it so many times that I really gotten into situations where I just snapped at people, or I just told them this is not how it's going to happen, and people respected that. But it wouldn't have happened if I didn't open my mouth. And you do that once in this area, once over there, and people kind of get like an image of who you are to them, and they know like where not to cross you, and they don't do it not because there is a rational thought behind it of this is not what she wants, I'll cross her boundaries. It's because there's a negative emotion attached to each time you cross that boundary, because you verbalize that and kind of express yourself. And sometimes, especially in the beginning, like those crossings, my reactions were very harsh because it just hit me so hard, and I just reacted really intensely. And the longer I really deal with that, the smoother those reactions become. And this is what I mean, like there's a difference. I always thought, well, I still get into situations where things get too to me. But first off, I don't just run away how I used to. And the second of all is I stay calm and I just say, listen, I feel uncomfortable in this situation. This is not working for me. And I'm able to manage my reaction more and more calmly, professionally, and have like a smooth transition, which also helps me to get back to a space of balance and also for the people towards me. So I really want to emphasize this point of boundaries and how we actually grow from setting boundaries further, how we react towards having people cross our boundaries, and how we keep on building on that, because it's a process and it goes on and on and on, and there's beautiful things that can happen through that. Because guess what, the more you grow in some kind of leadership position or in a group setting, and I'm not saying you have to be like a leader, whatever it is, if this is not what you want to do, but no matter where you are, there's always a difference of what kind of part you play to the like group dynamic. And even if you want to be level high to people and you're not now, every time you go up you have to change your boundaries, because otherwise you're always living in somebody else's world. And the more you live in your world, the further away those boundaries have to be for most people. And then for certain people, you let certain people can enter through this area, others through that. You still have the same boundaries, but those people are able to, that come from here, to respect your boundaries in that way, and the other ones are not, because it's too difficult for them, so they stay back there and you have a good relationship with them, but you have it on a more distant ground. But all those things really add up, and it's a really interesting process that helps us growing, that helps us developing, that helps our mental state. And so I really wanted to emphasize it, because there's a lot of things I have learned since like the last videos on these topics, and I wanted to share that with you. So please leave your comments below on this topic. How have you developed when it comes to setting your boundaries, working on your boundaries, reacting to having your boundaries crossed? Have you really had like experiences since like the last video or anything that really stood out for you? I really would like to know. And every time you post something, comment, it also helps others to see that they're not alone in this. So thank you so much for contributing and staying tuned and helping me grow this channel. So talk to you next time and have a great week. Bye.